Hey guys, it's me. I'm in this crazy hotel room downtown San Diego. It's very glamorous. Not. Anyway, I want to chat with you. So first of all, some of the ways that I create content for doing these lives comes down to often an inspiration of something that's happening with a client or an inspiration of something that's happening with me inside my business. Sometimes it's something that I'm struggling with, and sometimes it's literally content that I've created because I've listened to your surveys or I've seen the comments. That it really helps me when you comment after a live and tell me what it is that you really appreciated about a live or what you'd like to know more about. So these are just some of the different areas that I use to be able to create content for my lives that create great shares, that create lots of comments and lots of engagement, and then something you don't see, which is a lot of engagement in our direct inboxes, which is great. So today I want to talk to you about right focus. So I'm reading this book called The Obstacle is the Way. And as I'm reading it, I'm finding my mind opening up around things that I'm working on inside of my own business and inside of my own life. It's almost like if I would say one of the biggest benefits I'm getting from the book, The Obstacle is the Way, is a growing of just my awareness that like it's easy to actually go to the next level. Almost like a confidence builder, like my confidence is growing while I'm reading that book, which is highly valuable for your bandwidth and your energy. In fact, I would say that's probably one of the biggest benefits that I'm getting from that book right now. In addition, when I'm looking at what has been the thing that's caused me my most success, it's actually been putting blinders on and only focusing, my clients hear me say this, focusing on the step that I'm in. But literally putting blinders on and not going to a bunch of events, not listening to a bunch of different people coach me or influence my mind. You've got to watch that good people don't influence your mind if you're not able to organize your thoughts and your priorities. Let me explain that again. So there's a lot of really good people. There's a lot of really good people who can tell you about how to do SEO for your website. There's a lot of really good people who can talk to you about how to do email copy. There's a lot of good people who can talk to you about how to build your followers on Instagram, Facebook, all of these different things. There's a lot of really great and good people that can teach you lots of different tactics and strategies. The thing is that the more tactics and strategies that you learn as an entrepreneur, the slower you actually grow as a business owner. And this is really counterintuitive because we feel like if we were to learn more tactics, then we could grow faster. That's typically, can you hear me there? Is that like something that you sometimes feel like maybe that you don't know enough, or that you're so far behind, like you got to learn how to do that next tactic, that next webinar, that next signature talk, like that next thing, you got to learn how to do it better to be successful? That feeling will have you spending a lot of time trying to tactic your way to the top. Sometimes I'll say to people, like, if you're learning Instagram, you're not going to hashtag your way to 100,000 followers. You're going to create great content. You're going to create strategic partnerships. Those strategic partnerships are going to share your videos, your pages, your posts, drive traffic for you. Those are the ways that you find the quantum growth. So then the question is like, oh, how do I do that? Are you in that step? Like if you were to prioritize growing your Facebook page, do you know what to offer, how to offer it, and how to make money with it? Do you know that, right? Also, do you have money to be able to spend for ads? Because we have all these followers on Facebook or Instagram, they like 35% of your Instagram following ever sees your posts. Now go tally up how many followers you have and then times that by 35%. And see how many people are really seeing your post. This is why I chose email marketing, text message marketing, to actually influence the cash flow of my business first. And then I went to social, which I love, But even on social, I use all my email marketing strategies to do bots, which is like direct inbox messaging, things like that. I use Facebook groups to be able to serve and train, and then we lead them from a Facebook group onto a phone call with a coach. The coach serves them, and if they're an ideal client, we'll make them an offer. If they're not an ideal client, then usually we're telling them where to go, or we give them advice, and then we let them be on their way, and they could literally watch our videos and be served by our content online. My point is that there's only a few areas that if you pushed on a big lever inside your business, that you would find that you quantum leap. So like for us, it's events. If we do 4 events a month, then those 4 events a month will bring us in the equivalent of $15 million of new revenue every single month. Gross, not in the door, not net, but gross. But I'm figuring out how to take that and make it net. Okay? So when you look at that, you go, okay, like that might sound like so I don't want to use an example that sounds insane. Remember that like it was only 9 years ago that I just wanted to make $5,000 a month, right? So not even 9 years ago, like 8 years ago, that I just wanted to make $5,000 a month. 7 years ago, I was still on the desire that I still wanted to just make $5,000 a month, maybe 7. Right? And so it's not like it's taken me a super long period of time in relativity to be able to grow a business that these are some of my goals, aspirations, and I can see how I can create these results. It's not that I'm overly smart, because I'm not. I'm really not. What I've been really good at is prioritizing and not getting distracted on feeling like I have to keep up with the Joneses of the marketers and the gurus and the influencers that are online. I've never felt like I've had moments where I'm embarrassed about my Instagram page. That's why I started working on it about a year and a half ago. And this year, in the last 6 months, I put in a lot of effort on my content videos. Have you guys seen some of our videos that we've been creating recently? The more edited and produced videos. So I'm spending more money and more time and working with the team to be able to really create more educational videos that I hope really create movements inside of people's minds and their hearts. That's a big lever that I'm prioritizing. But like when I look at next year, I'm prioritizing 2 things next year. To grow my email list by 300,000 people and to do 4 events a month. And I think I'm going to 5x the company by doing that. And the challenge will be, how do I get myself to not be distracted with all the other things that I want to do? Like I want to do a video sales letter that I'm going to do in December. How do I make sure I don't get distracted on that? How do I make sure that I don't get distracted on other really exciting marketing things that I learned throughout the year in my mastermind? Well, it's like what I do is, well, first of all, I have to elicit somebody on my team, like my executive assistant, my COO, my CMO, and say, here's the main objectives that we want to hit this year. And as long as those are being hit and we're happy with the results of those, then we can play with other things. But if those are not being hit, then any fun other marketing things that we're doing, we need to shut down and we need to just focus on that, right? And so you could think, I know if you just stopped, even if you did the exercise of, why don't you take a pen to paper and go do the exercise of tally up, where did you make your most amount of money last year or this year? Where did you make your most amount of money? And when you look at like where you made your most amount of money, how could you double down on selling more of that? How could you double down that? Now I know I sound very material maybe a little bit right now, but we need to talk about money, and we need to talk about money in a very clear and concise way so that we don't get confused that inspiration isn't always equated to making more money. And as entrepreneurs and business owners, we often want to do things that make us feel more inspired. The challenge is that we haven't done the analytics works where we've actually sat down and said, okay, well, what is the thing that brings us more money? What is the thing that if we had more money, what are the other things that we could do inside the company, like hire more team to get up more divisions? What I see people do is coming up with new products and services. My hand's shaking here. There. What I see us do is we come up with more products and services that we're excited about. And by the way, I have been so guilty of this myself. It's like, somebody says they need something, you create it for them, and the next thing you know, you have another thing that you're responsible for, and then you're not really getting any volume of business in any area of your business, right? Like you're not really getting any volume, you're not getting any traction. And so what happens is that, your money wanes. And when your money wanes, then you get more stressed out. When you get more stressed out, and the people you love pay for it. And so it's like, how do you get out of that rat race? And I'm going to tell you the way that I really got out of the rat race of feeling that overwhelmed feeling, of feeling like I was, always behind, feeling like I wasn't smart enough, feeling like I got to learn another platform, was to literally put blinders on. I put these blinders on and I was like, I'm going to build my email list. I'm going to build my sales team. I'm going to figure out how to be a better email marketer. And I'm going to figure out how to keep doing better content for my clients. And I didn't do all those things in the same year. Those are the only things I've focused on in the last 8.5 years of my business. And so now I'm focusing on Instagram. The platform I focused on first was Facebook here. It's been Facebook. And Facebook was the thing I focused on first. And I got really consistent at doing Facebook Lives, as you guys know, for the last 2.5 years, almost like 3 weeks out of every month, the first 3 weeks of the month. I do it Monday through Friday. Coffee with Shanda used to be at 6 a.m. Now it's at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And because of that, when I do a live or I do, I give to this platform, which you're on it right now, we'll get 100 comments or 350 comments or 400 comments. On Instagram, I still get 14, 25, 40 comments. And that's because I just started giving on it more consistently. So my clients know that I'm always focused in saying, wherever you give is where you'll reap your harvest. And so the question is that, like, if you're finding yourself spread too thin, you're probably giving in too many areas right now. And you have to look at strategically in your business, what is the platform or what is the area that you're going to give to and pour into, and not just give out of your scraps, like your spare time, but you're actually going to make a commitment and give on a regular basis consistently. And over the course of the next year, which seems like a long time, but that's what it takes, you guys. Over the next year, you're going to see that when you had 2 or 3 people showing up live on a live, you're now going to have 40, or you're going to have 80, or you're going to have 100, or whatever that looks like. Whenever I get inconsistent with my Coffees with Shanda, including my week that I'm off, my last week of the month, the flex week, I probably would have 400 people showing up live on my lives if I showed up Monday through Friday, 4 weeks out of every month, but I take the last week of the month off. So if I'm smart, I would actually sit down and figure out, how do I create a content strategy for the last week of every month, which is something that I'll bring up to our CMO so that we have that consistency going, so that my lives are going at the same time, Monday through Friday, 4 weeks out of the month. That's a smart use of lever and focused on, or what I could focus on. So I just encourage you on this, because I know that there's lots of amazing gurus that have great teams that are telling you have to be on every single platform. And if you could have a team member handle every single platform for you, and you could have somebody own those targets, then it's amazing. But I have never been able to figure out how to get all the platforms up at the same time and still make millions of dollars. So my question to you is, analyze, where do you receive the most amount of your money? Where was your biggest check in this year? Where was your biggest check? And go figure out where your biggest check was, whether that was $5, $500, or $5 million. Where was your biggest check? And then ask yourself, how do you double down on that biggest check for next year? And develop your strategy around that. And then anything that doesn't fit into that, then just put blinders on and don't focus on it. No matter how tempting it is, just don't focus on it. So many of you guys know that I'm deep into scripture, and we use the word the enemy for the devil, right? And it's like the devil's in the details. And what that means is when you get caught up in all the details as an entrepreneur, when you get caught up in trying to learn all the new tactics, then what happens is you're all in the details and you're not in the visionary work that CEOs should do. So there's 2 books that I recommend you read. One is Rocket Fuel is a great book. There's a test in there that I recommend you do. And know that visionaries and CEOs are not integrators. And if you're focused on learning every single tactic about how to optimize all the different marketing in your business, then you're going to slow down the visionary leadership that you need in order to grow the fulfillment, the reach that you want. And there's no marketing engine that can get behind someone who it doesn't have the bandwidth to be a great visionary. So the thing that you probably think is easy for you is the thing that if you actually spent more time doing it and you could build out infrastructure behind you, which might be a team member that's an integrator that could do the work on the back end. You're still doing your work. Trust me, if I did 3 lives a day at 3 different times, like maybe I did one on just lifestyle later on in the afternoon, then our platforms would grow. They would grow significantly if I was spending more time doing lives than, doing other things that maybe an integrator should do. So that means a team member. And so now you might be worried about hiring a team member because you want to be able to monetize it. Well, the way that you monetize a team member is to stay in your lane, they stay in their lane, and you know how something monetizes out, which means that you need to look at where is your biggest check inside your business. And spend time, a little bit of time, piece of paper and pen, and just strategize around that. And what do you need to do? Like, what would help you double down on that? So something that I saw Sarah Blakely post, and it was a question. And sometimes I find so many people articulate things better than I do. And I like to share those things when I think they've been articulated better. And Sarah said, a question that she likes to ask herself if I had nobody to ask right now, how would I move forward on this? If I had nobody to ask right now, how would I move forward on this? I thought that was brilliant, because one of the challenges I see in my client base is that still often people are waiting for their coach or their mentor or for somebody to tell them how to do something. So it's important to communicate with your mentor what you're doing, right? What you're doing, so that you can get another eyes on it. But it's important for you to not wait for the solution to innovate results. Innovation happens from you asking yourself that question. And so now I want you to look at, where's your biggest check? And then if there was nobody to ask, how would you move forward on doubling down on that? I'll leave you with that question. All right, you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.